Well, good morning, everybody. It is Heidi at Hen Chicks Studio in Conrad, Iowa. And super glad to be able to come on this morning and just chat a little bit about creativity. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So I hope you all just take a minute and enjoy the conversation, and hope you learn something, or have something to offer maybe too. But last weekend, I, along with my daughters as well as several friends, retreated for 4 days, 3 nights. The girls actually did 5 days, 4 nights. They stayed an extra day, which was awesome. I loved that. And I get lots of questions, and I'm going to address a couple of those here. But number one, I put a picture up of a project I was working on, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that this morning. So that's one thing we're going to do. I'm going to talk to you and show you a couple of the different projects that I'm working on. But the first thing I want to say, besides welcome, and by all means, type in the comments, and hopefully I'll be able to see them as they scroll through on the phone, and I can answer questions. I'm by myself, so I don't have a second person to look at the screen, so hopefully I'll catch any questions that you have. As always, we'd love to know where you're watching from. So, I always say I love to say that we're spreading creativity coast to coast, because I know from the things that we're doing that we are reaching. And in fact, we're reaching Colorado this morning. Good morning, Myrna. I love seeing familiar faces and names on the screen. So good morning, good morning. And anyway, somebody was asking me if I could actually retreat in my own retreat center. And it is something that I have to mentally tell myself that it's okay for me to take a break. I am a little bit of a work junkie, and I am constantly doing something. If some of you may not know, I actually own 2 businesses, and that's not, some people might say the retreat center is a second business to the quilt shop. So I own Hen Chicks Studio, which is the quilt shop and retreat centers now. I love that we have 2 retreat centers. But I also own a publishing company. And so the publishing company creates a trade publication for independent retailers. So it addresses and talks to people like me. So our business at Creative Retailer is helping business owners run a better business. Running a small business isn't easy because we wear all of the hats. There's so many different things to know, so many different things to do. And so the publication helps business owners like myself, I'll say, just get through the daily information that's out there. There's just so many things to know about running a business. Okay, so with 2 businesses, I have all of the excuses of why I should not retreat. And let me tell you, I've let those excuses overtake that and guide me in the wrong direction, if you want to say that I work. And you know what? There comes a time at which maybe we get old enough. I don't know. I'm 55. Is it taking me 55 years to figure this out? You got to take a break. You gotta take care of yourself. And for me, doing a retreat fills my heart, fills my soul. I looked forward to it for weeks. Now, as I'm scrambling to get some things done before I leave to go to a trade show tomorrow, I'm thinking to myself, oh, that was a good 4 days. It filled my cup. That energy that I got from that retreat center, retreat itself, is fueling me to keep going. And I love that. For me, that's just an important part of the whole process of retreating. And I don't want to wait until I have time, because trust me, I'm the kind of person that will never have time, because I've always got something going on. And I love that about my life. But I also know that this opportunity to be creative is important. So getting to take that time. So anyway, so that's just, for me, that's what's important about retreating is, and I really do let myself not work. And I mean, I did some work. It's not, I mean, let's not lie. I had to do some daily things just to keep all the plates spinning. But I really was able to focus on my projects. So let's get to my projects. So I have been quilting and doing crafts since I was young. I was a 10-year 4-H member, so constantly doing things as a kid. My grandmother taught me to quilt, so was, you know, doing quilting and stuff from a young age. And I love the experimentation and trying new things. So there's that element. We had a great time talking this weekend about the fact that even though we're, if you want to say we're quilters, that there is an element of crafting that is just fun. It's fun to play. And so let me tell you, if you have an idea of a project that you would like us to create a little workshop for, let me know. Let me know, because even the first project I'm going to show you is a book that I made. And so I took an online class from Vintage Page Designs, and she did a series of videos where they walk you through how to make the cover. So I'm going to hold it up here. So the cover, let me hold it. Maybe I can open it up. I'm going to try and make sure you can see it. So there's the entire cover. And I used a canvas material, and then I used a medium mat. Basically, it's like a glue that then I glued strips of paper down. I got in my jar of ribbon and pulled out some pieces of ribbon. I first glued those down, then I sewed things down as well, added stitching in a couple of different places, just because it was fun to be able to do that. Then the hard part for me, but the fun, I mean, but it was fun, was to learn how to sew the signatures in. And being a publisher and being in the magazine business for quite a bit of my professional career, many of you still remember me as editor of American Patchwork and Quilting at Better Homes and Gardens. That was an interesting process. As you can see, like these diagonal lines there, that's how I sewed it together. And it's very much like a quilt, but it's just different because you're flipping the paper. I didn't get it quite right. I managed, it's holding together. You know, there's definitely technique. So for being my first book, I'm extremely excited about this. And I'm going to do more. And I've got some ideas of how I would like to change the insides. But I journal and doodle every day. And this will definitely turn into a book that I journal in. So that is what that book is. So glad to be able to, that there's online classes, virtual classes that I can take to be able to watch that. Okay, the second project that I worked on over the weekend, many of you have been hearing me talk about that I am part of One Little Word, which is an Allie Edwards program. And it costs $45, I think is what it costs, for the year. And I say this all the time, and I mean this. For me, what Allie is doing with the women that are on her team is just so, I think, important for great conversations and for boosting women's spirits. And there's just so much goodness that goes on, that I say all the time that if all you did was pay the $45 and listen to all of her videos that they do and that they provide as part of the One Little Word program, if that's all you did, I think you would get so much out of it, because I do. It's just the conversations, the real, authentic, genuine conversations that these women have every month as part of One Little Word is truly amazing. So kudos to Allie Edwards and I'll tag her on this program, this video later, because I just think what she and her team are doing are awesome. But of course, and I will absolutely put the link in for One Little Word. And so basically what you do is you choose a word. And I did not bring last year's book. I brought this year's book. So last year I did this, and you can create a book. Again, the way they set the program up is that, yes, they give you prompts. Yes, I'll say guide you to things that you can do for your word, but there's so much creativity in it. And the hundreds of people that she has involved, and that people that show in their Facebook group as part of the group. Anyway, it's just phenomenal what these people are doing. And so this is just my One Little Word book. And so I'm going to rotate the camera a little bit, and we're going to try to do this without a second person. Okay, so just give me a second here. And why is it not? There we go. Let's go this way. I'm going to get down here, and then we'll turn the camera back. Okay, so let's see if we've got, okay, so this is my One Little Word book. And so I do happen to get the 3-ring binder because I am liking that. I do a combination of both digital and traditional kinds of things. I won't go through everything here, but we do create things like manifestos. This is my manifesto that I made one night, just sharing some of the things that are important to me. My word this year is more, and my underlining statement is all about do more of what makes you happy. And these are the kinds of things that truly do make me happy. So again, it's divided into months. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you can kind of get the idea. It's a lot. For me, it's a documentation of things. This is January, what I want more of. But I'm going to get to where I was doing it for the retreat. And so lots of just fun memories. The month of February, I'll get to that. That's when we did our manifestos and vision boards. And then I participated in a list making class. So all of my lists are in there. But here is what I did during retreat. So the month of March is all about practicing something around your word. And again, my word is more. So one of the things I want to be more, have more in my life of, is gratitude. And again, everybody's practice is very different. I knew that with my schedule kind of thing that I wanted to keep it simple. So I found 31 or made up 31 gratitude statements. I printed them off all in the same font with a day. So you can I don't know if you can see it down there or not, but it says March 1st. I printed those all off on my inkjet printer. And then I actually painted over them, if you want to say, with the matte medium, because I was afraid that when I went to paint that the ink would run or that kind of thing, and I didn't want that to happen. So I painted over all of those, let that all dry. Then during the retreat, I wanted to play with some more kind of art journaling types of things. So I used several different techniques, including simply painting. Then I did stamping. I also did hand-drawn doodles and painting. And then these black, that's actually DMC floss that I stitched. And then when I did these, I eventually then glued two together so that you can't see the stitching on the back. And it is one for every day. So I'm just going to kind of flip through these. I think you can see all those. I won't read them all, but you can kind of get the idea of what I was doing. Again, very art journal type stuff. And you guys, when I picked these, I absolutely did not as I was putting the dates on them, I had absolutely no like I was random, totally random. That's the word I'm looking for. And so I just have to say that things like when I got pulled up March 14th to read, I am grateful for my love of learning and education. And that would be something that my grandma would say. And March 14th would have been her birthday. So I try not to get emotional about things like that. And to me, that's when God is speaking to me and he is telling me that grandma is with me and all of that. So it's amazing to me how things like that do transpire. It's the universe keeping me. So anyway, so you get the idea, right? That they're all statements. Let's see. Today is the 20th. I am grateful for everything that I have and everything that I am. I love that. And so what I kind of do, I'll say my practice every day is to read the statement of the day and then to be able to think about that, include that in my thoughts throughout the day, and to be able to, again, just have more gratitude in my life. Could never have enough gratitude. And then, of course, and because it was odd, I've got an odd page. I might end up doing the doodle on that page, but I have not made that decision. Okay, so I'm going to now turn the camera back up. Now, I couldn't see any of your comments. So if you, and Minerva, I see the very first comment. Minerva, Grandma was special, and Minerva would know because Minerva, I hope you don't mind that I say this, but when Minerva got mad at her mom, she'd go down the road to my grandma's house. And I love hearing that just because Grandma was such a good person and such a special person. And she'll be gone 23 years this year. And I know she's with me. I know she's here in the store because she loved quilting and she would absolutely love being with us. So that is my one little word book. It's going to be so full by the end of the year. It's going to have so much more stuff in it. And I love that. And maybe I should have called it the Moore book because it was Grandma Moore. That her maiden name is Moore with 2 O's. So anyway, so that is my one little word book. So I did all that painting and you may have seen a photo over the weekend of me hogging all the tables. Okay, when you do that painting stuff, you gotta let it dry. So to be able to have that space and to be able to walk away from it and work on other things in the midst is absolutely great. Okay, but the photo that you all actually have been reacting to, that again warms my heart that you guys want to know more about it, is the picture that was of me and my wool project that I'm working on. So I have that here. We're going to talk about it a little bit. And let me show you, I'll hold up this one block and then I'm going to explain what it is. So the sun's a little strong. I think if I actually hold it down, maybe I go this way. Can I go this way? No, I'm not in the camera. There we go. I'm trying to get it so you guys can see it. So this is, let me see if that's one block. There's one block of my quilt. And I'll show you a little more close up here as well. But I want to tell you a little bit about what it is. It's going to be a Suzani quilt. And if you've never heard that term before, by all means, Google it and you will be shocked at what comes up in the beautiful, beautiful workmanship. So I wanted to just tell you a little bit of the history. And I went online and grabbed a few details so that I get it right and don't mislead you in the historical understanding of what a Suzani is. So here is what Christie's Auction House says about a Suzani. The primary use of a Suzani was within the yurt, a Central Asian nomadic tent, as a protective wrapping panel for textiles and belongings. They were also used as prayer mats, as bed sheets, and for seating. Pieces of furniture are seldom found in yurts because they are cumbersome to move. Oh, God, Myrna, you might have to help me with this since you're on. Wasn't it Lindsay, or isn't it Lindsay from the UK that made a yurt? And as a piece of art, I'm trying to remember. She's an APQS machine dealer. And she made a yurt and traveled with it and had it in different places. Hang on. So I have no yurt. I'm not making a yurt. But Suzani's also had a symbolic significance. They were traditionally made by brides and their mothers as part of a dowry and presented to the groom on his wedding day. I've already been married for 32 years, so we're beyond that. They represented the binding together of two families and were adorned with symbols of luck, health, long life, and fertility. Okay, so this is what is, I'm going to say, interesting to me. So all of these things, and again, when you look at them, and I do not have a picture. I saw one in a magazine, and I was just drawn to it because of the applique and the embroidery. So Suzani's are often made in 2 or more pieces. Mine's going to be more than 2. You'll see in a minute. Then they are stitched together. Popular design motifs include sun and moon discs, flowers, especially tulips, carnations, and irises, my favorite flower, leaves and vines and fruit, especially pomegranates. I don't think I have any pomegranates on here because I'll tell you why. And occasional fish and birds. Now, I may have to get a little creative with that. When I read that this morning, and as I was Googling a little information, I thought, well, maybe I need to figure out how to get a hen, a little chick on here, but I haven't figured that out yet. But we got time. So what are the color and texture designs in a Suzani? They generally have a light background, some shade of white, beige, or yellow with brighter colors used in the pattern itself. I'm going bold all the way. Boldly designed and absolutely eye-catching, these embroidered textiles have been part of home decor for centuries. That boldly designed and eye-catching, let me tell you, that's when I see them, that's immediately what draws me in, is that they're like, oh, you just, as a quilter, you understand the importance of that, the work that goes into it. And I just love handwork, and I always say it comes back to Grandma because my first quilt was all hand-pieced. She hand-pieced everything she made, did not use a sewing machine, and I have a real love for handwork, and that's, I think, why I love this as much as I do. So Suzani's would typically use a vibrant color scheme of red, blue, and green to mirror the rich cultural heritage of the region, adding a touch of vivacity to the creations. Suzani textiles are loved by interior designers and homeowners for providing a sense of bohemian luxury. Now this I thought was interesting, and I'm going to have to do a little more research on this because this is actually intrigues me. Just 4 stitches were used to include a large variety of patterns, which, we talked about, include the sun, moon, flowers. And here are the names of the stitches: tambour, basma, chain, and this one I'm probably going to not say it correctly, kanda, kalo. And I'm gonna do some more research on that. I didn't have time to fully, but I'm very interested in what those 4 stitches are. I am keeping this very simple. I am using the chain stitch, but it had nothing to do with this. And so I think it's I'm like, okay, obviously I was in the right mindset. Okay, so that's just a little bit of history. We have to learn. This is all about education and learning. And Grandma would be very pleased that we're learning something at the moment as we're stitching. So, okay, so then when I wanted to do a Suzani, and this was at a retreat several years ago, of course, like wool, I love wool embroidery. I knew that wool as the foundation would be too heavy, so I instead went with this beautiful orange flannel because I liked the softness of it, and I knew if I was going to be stitching on it for years that I would want to have that. I liked the color of it, that kind of thing, the boldness of it. Okay, so, but I don't know, you can call me lazy if you want, I don't care, but I'm thinking to myself, all right, Heidi, realistically, I can't cut out all of these shapes. Well, guess what? I happen to own a Sizzix die cut machine, and it's in the retreat center. So remember, you have full use of that when you're a retreater. So if this is ever anything you need help with, or you want to cut shapes out, let me tell you, I will be glad to help you because it is so much easier. So I went through all of my die cuts, and I certainly do have a few, and I said, what shapes would make sense to make a Suzanne? So this is my paper version, and the poor thing is getting ripped. I carry this around with me. This was all out of paper. And so this was, I laid it out on the floor. You can see my feet. Can you see my feet in the picture? And so you can get an idea that we're talking it's, pretty good size, right? So that was the initial spot. So then I took a picture of it, right? And I cropped it, and then I went to my computer, and I do obviously a lot of digital scrapbooking. So I took that image and I made my Suzanne. I guess it's technically upside down there. So there is my Suzanne. Okay, you see that initial, and the sizes. This quilt would end up being 128 inches square. It's gonna be big. I envision it on our twin bed, on a nice big bed. It's gonna be heavy, but it's gonna keep us warm. Weighted blanket, I guess. By the time we get done with it, who knows? So one of these squares, so like the corner is 32 inches square, okay? So what I held up is one of those corners. So here, I'll show you this. So there, you see the corners. And now let me hold it up again so you see, let me see if I do it right. This would be an outside corner and going in to the quilt. Okay, so that is the idea there. And then what I do is I first go, this block, I'm considering this block done at the moment. I'm going to say, I first went through each piece and did a really simple straight stitch, something to secure it down to the foundation so that I wouldn't have to worry about it. Then I go back and I say, what do I want to do? So for example, in these, I'm going to call them tongue pieces, I did several things. So I don't know if you can see my straight stitch. Can you see my straight stitch there? And then I actually looped the thread through the straight stitch. Plus then I did a series of French knots and straight stitches coming out of the center on these pieces. I did chain stitches. I'm using one color of thread. Now, here's what I have to go back and do on this. This was a little bit, I did, I'll say dive in. See how I'm doing French knots, but I stopped doing them there. I moved on to something else. I'll have to come back and do a ton of French knots because I have not done them in like the centers of these units kind of thing. Stitching the leaves. So they will all be similar. The flowers up here just have a little star stitch. So a little bit of everything. So anyway, so that block I'm considering done. This piece of fabric is flannel. I did put fusing on the back so that it will not ravel, but it didn't stick real well to the flannel. So on the ones that I basted this weekend, I just glued it down instead of trying to worry about. So anyway, so now I'm working on the second block. And I have that. So they're all these 4 blocks are very similar. and then I basted 2, and I happened to find right before I went to the retreat, I happened to find a bottle of Roxanne's glue basted, and so that I was like, oh, perfect. So I glued down that, and I mean, and already I've been stitching. I've already started stitching on this one, so they're already getting stitched down. It is definitely folk art. I am trying to make each block similar, but I'm purposely not getting out the measuring tape. I'm not saying, do I have these exactly spaced in between? Because I think when I look at the Suzannes that I see, it's almost the imperfections that I love as much as I love the work in itself. And so definitely not doing anything like that. So I hope you have enjoyed just a little bit of what it is that I have been enjoying this past weekend, and having a little fun of being creative. So if you ever have questions about what I'm doing, by all means, please let me know. I would be glad to share, but it's so much fun to be creative, and it's so much fun to take time to do a retreat. So I encourage all of you to take that opportunity and to be creative, however that looks. All right, everybody, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.